What you're about to witness is a story about one mother's final lie. A 72-year-old woman diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. But after her funeral, her children discovered a journal that revealed a truth no one could have imagined. By the end of this story, you will cry. And you will think about your own family. What is a parent's love? What does family truly mean? This story will stay with you forever. Please watch until the very end, the shocking beginning. December 2024, a funeral home in suburban Chicago. White roses and lilies covered the altar as three siblings knelt before their mother's casket. Michael, 45 years old, a tech CEO in an expensive black suit, but his eyes were bloodshot. Sarah, 42 years old, a New York attorney in mourning clothes, continuously wiping tears with a tissue. Jake, 40 years old, a struggling musician with a vacant expression, staring at his mother's photograph. "Mom, I'm so sorry." Michael's trembling voice echoed through the quiet chapel. After the funeral, the three siblings drove to their mother's house. A modest two-story colonial home in a quiet Pennsylvania town. The house their mother had kept for 30 years alone. Sarah was going through their mother's bedroom when she found an old leather journal hidden deep in the nightstand drawer. "Guys, come look at this." The three siblings gathered around. On the cover, in their mother's handwriting, "My last 6 months, for my children." Michael's hands shook as he opened the first page. And when they read the first sentence, all three froze. June 1, 2024. "Today, I begin my performance as an Alzheimer's patient. For my children. 6 months ago the beginning. May 31, 2024. Silicon Valley, California." Michael was the CEO of a struggling tech startup. 10 years ago, he'd taken over his father's construction company, but ran it into the ground trying to modernize too quickly. The guilt drove him into the tech world, but now his company was bleeding money, investors were pulling out, and he was on the verge of his third bankruptcy. "Michael, the board wants to talk. They're considering a vote of no confidence." His assistant's words hit like a punch. "Tell them I need 1 more month." Every night, Michael slept in his office, desperately pitching to any investor who would listen. "I failed Dad's company. I can't fail again. I won't." Meanwhile, in Manhattan, in a glass-walled corner office, Sarah was one of the top corporate attorneys in New York City. She'd just won a major case but felt nothing. At 42, she was unmarried, had no children, and worked 80-hour weeks. Her phone buzzed. A text from a colleague: "Drinks tonight." She declined. Again. Success is supposed to feel better than this. She looked at her office view, alone on the 47th floor. 15 years ago, during her father's illness, she'd chosen work over family. Her fiancé had left. Her siblings had grown distant. "I sacrificed everything for this career. Was it worth it?" And in a small apartment in Austin, Texas, Jake was lying on a worn-out couch, staring at his guitar in the corner. At 40, he'd spent 2 decades chasing a music career that never happened. He'd battled addiction, been through rehab twice, and now worked as a delivery driver. Mike's a CEO. Sarah's a hotshot lawyer. And me? I'm a joke. His phone showed 47 unread messages from bill collectors. No friends. No family. No future. That evening, all three siblings received the same call. It was from their mother's neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, in their Pennsylvania hometown. "Hello? Is this Margaret Sullivan's children? Your mother. She got lost today. The police found her wandering downtown. She didn't know where she lived." Michael was in a board meeting. His face went pale. Sarah was reviewing contracts. Her hand trembled as she answered. Jake was delivering food. He pulled over and sat in silence. Mom. Lost. For the first time in 15 years, the three siblings would return to the same place. Their childhood home. The place they'd sworn never to return to together. Michael booked a flight from San Francisco, his mind racing. The last time I saw Mom was, what, 3 years ago? No, 4. Sarah took an Uber straight from her office to LaGuardia, not even grabbing her things. Mom, I'm sorry. I've been so busy. Too busy. Jake got on a Greyhound bus, the only thing he could afford. I'm the worst son in the world. 6 hours later, they all arrived at the hospital where their mother had been taken for evaluation. In the waiting room, the three siblings saw each other for the first time in 15 years. Michael in his designer suit. Sarah in her power attorney outfit. Jake in his worn delivery uniform. They didn't hug. They barely nodded. The silence was deafening. 15 years ago, at their father's funeral, they had a devastating fight over his will and estate. Things were said that could never be taken back. Michael had accused Sarah of manipulating their dying father. Sarah had called Michael a failure who destroyed the family business. Jake had been called worthless by both of them. That day, they'd stopped being a family. Now, they sat in uncomfortable chairs, not looking at each other, waiting to hear about their mother. The Alzheimer's diagnosis. Dr. Roberts, a neurologist, called them into his office. Your mother has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Moderate stage, progressing rapidly. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. How rapidly? Based on the cognitive tests and brain scans, I'd estimate she has 6 months to a year before she'll need full-time care. Michael stood up abruptly. What are the treatment options? There are medications that can slow progression, but there's no cure. I'm sorry. Jake, who'd been silent, finally spoke. Can we see her? They walked to their mother's hospital room. Margaret Sullivan, 72 years old, sat by the window looking confused and fragile. Mom. Sarah approached first. Margaret turned, looking at her daughter with vacant eyes. I'm sorry, do I know you? Mom, it's me. Sarah. Your daughter. Sarah. I have a daughter named Sarah? Margaret smiled apologetically. I'm sorry, dear. My memory isn't what it used to be. Michael stepped forward. Mom, it's Michael. And Jake's here too. Margaret looked at her 3 children, her face showing no recognition. What nice young people. Are you volunteers from the church? Jake turned away, tears streaming down his face. That night, the 3 siblings met at a diner near the hospital. The tension was unbearable. We need to discuss care options, Sarah said in her lawyer voice. I can't leave California right now. The company. Of course, Sarah interrupted. Your company. Always your company. Don't start, Sarah. I'm just stating facts, Michael. You failed Dad's business, and now you're failing this one. Michael's face reddened. At least I tried. You abandoned the family for your career. I didn't abandon anyone. I was building a life. By missing Dad's last 6 months? By not calling Mom for years? Jake slammed his hand on the table. Stop it. Both of you. They looked at their younger brother, surprised. For once in your lives, can you stop fighting? Mom needs us. Silence. Finally, Sarah spoke softly. You're right. I'm sorry. Michael nodded. Me too. They agreed to take turns caring for their mother. Rotating weeks. None of them knew this decision would change everything. The caregiving begins, old wounds surface. The first week, Michael stayed at his mother's house. He set up a home office and tried to manage his failing company remotely while caring for Mom. Every morning, the same routine. Mom, time for breakfast. Thank you, dear. What's your name again? Michael. I'm your son. Oh, how wonderful. I have a son. 5 minutes later, the same question. Michael answered patiently, but inside, his heart was breaking. His mother, who'd raised 3 children alone after Dad died, who'd worked 2 jobs, who'd never complained, couldn't remember his name. One night, he was on a video call with investors when his mother wandered into the room. Excuse me, young man, but do you know where my husband is? He should be home by now. The investors saw everything. Michael, maybe now isn't a good time for you. He lost the deal. And potentially his company. But strangely, he didn't feel as devastated as he thought he would. The second week, Sarah arrived from New York. She brought her laptop, planning to work remotely. But caregiving demanded everything. Mom, you already ate lunch. No, I didn't. You're lying to me. Margaret became agitated, convinced Sarah was trying to starve her. Sarah, the powerful attorney who commanded courtrooms, felt helpless. One afternoon, while cleaning her mother's room, Sarah found old photo albums, pictures of her childhood, her high school graduation, her father's funeral. In one photo, Sarah was 27, standing beside her mother at the funeral. Her mother's face showed such sadness. And Sarah remembered she'd left immediately after the service for a work emergency. She hadn't stayed for the wake. Mom, I'm so sorry. She found herself crying, holding the album. Margaret walked in. Why are you crying, dear? Because I've been a terrible daughter. Margaret, despite her supposed confusion, sat down and held Sarah's hand. I'm sure whoever your mother is, she loves you very much. Sarah sobbed. The third week, Jake arrived. He had no idea what to do. He'd never taken care of anyone, not even himself properly. He ordered pizza every night because he couldn't cook. Margaret never complained. This is delicious. Thank you. Jake. I'm Jake, Mom. Jake. What a lovely name. One evening, Jake played guitar for his mother. He played an old song she used to sing when he was little. Suddenly, Margaret began singing along. Perfectly. Every word. Jake stopped playing, stunned. Mom. You remember this song? Margaret looked confused. What song, dear? But for that brief moment, she'd been there. Really there. Jake realized somewhere deep inside, his mother was still present. After 2 months of rotating care, the siblings were exhausted, but something was changing. They started having dinner together when they exchanged weeks. Brief conversations. Less hostile. One night, Michael said something surprising. My company's probably going under. Sarah looked up from her coffee. I'm sorry, Mike. Don't be. You know what? I feel relieved. Relieved. Yeah. I've been chasing success for 20 years, trying to make up for failing Dad. But maybe that's not what matters. Jake, listening quietly, spoke up. I've been a failure my whole life. Trust me, it doesn't feel good either. Michael looked at his younger brother. You're not a failure, Jake. Come on, man. We all know. You're not. You're the only one of us who had the courage to pursue what he loved. That takes guts. Jake's eyes welled up. Sarah added quietly, and you're the only one who's been truly present with Mom these past weeks. For the first time in 15 years, the siblings weren't fighting. They were talking. Really talking. In her bedroom, Margaret sat alone, writing in her journal. The plan is working. My children are slowly becoming a family again. Hearts begin to thaw. Month 3 of caregiving. Sarah made a major decision. She requested a leave of absence from her law firm. Her partners were shocked. "Sarah, you're up for senior partner. This could ruin your career." "Then let it be ruined. My mother needs me." She moved into her childhood home full-time. Michael, watching his company collapse, decided to let it go. He filed for bankruptcy and moved back to Pennsylvania. "I'm done running. I'm staying with Mom." Jake, still working as a delivery driver, found a local gig and rented a small apartment nearby. For the first time in decades, all 3 siblings were in the same town. One Saturday afternoon, they were all at the house together. Michael was fixing the leaky roof. Sarah was cooking dinner, something she hadn't done in years. Jake was playing music for Margaret in the living room. It felt almost normal. During dinner, Margaret suddenly said something strange. "You 3 remind me of my children." "Mom, we are your children," Sarah said gently. "Oh, are you? How wonderful. Do you get along?" The 3 siblings looked at each other. "We're working on it," Michael said with a small smile. That night, Sarah found an old box in the attic. Inside were report cards, school projects, and something else, their father's old financial ledgers. Page after page of their mother's handwriting. Michael, college tuition, $80,000 saved from waitressing job. Sarah, law school, $150,000 second mortgage on house. Jake, rehab center, $40,000 sold wedding ring and jewelry. Notes in the margins don't tell the children. They must never know. This is what mothers do. Sarah's hands shook. All those years, they thought their father's life insurance had paid for everything. They had no idea their mother had sacrificed everything. Her own comfort. Her own future. She called her brothers upstairs. Together, they read through the ledgers. Michael's voice cracked. "She sold her wedding ring for my rehab?" Jake whispered. "And took a second mortgage for my law school." All while working night shifts at the diner. The 3 siblings sat in silence, devastated by their mother's hidden sacrifices. "We've been so selfish," Sarah said. "All that fighting over Dad's will. And Mom gave us everything without us even knowing." They went downstairs together and found Margaret watching an old home video. On the screen, the 5 of them, 25 years ago. A happy family. Before Dad got sick. Before the fighting. "Mom." Margaret turned with a smile. "Oh, hello. Come sit with me. This video is lovely. Such a beautiful family." The 3 siblings sat beside their mother and watched themselves as children. Laughing, playing, loving each other. "What happened to us?" Jake asked quietly. Michael put his arm around his brother's shoulder. "We forgot what mattered." For the first time in 15 years, the 3 siblings embraced. And Margaret, watching them, had tears in her eyes. Later that night, alone in her room, she wrote in her journal, "They're almost there. Almost a family again. Just a little longer." The crisis. Month 4. One October morning, Michael woke to a crashing sound. He ran downstairs to find Margaret collapsed in the kitchen, unconscious. "Mom! Mom! Ambulance! Emergency room!" Sarah and Jake rushed to the hospital. The 3 siblings sat in the waiting room, terrified. "Drive." Roberts came out, his face grave. "Your mother is stable, but we ran additional tests. And she has pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. Very advanced." The world stopped. "How long has she had it?" "Based on the progression, I'd estimate at least a year, possibly longer." "A year? Why didn't she tell us?" "She knew. We found records showing she was diagnosed at another hospital 13 months ago. She declined all treatment. Michael stood up, furious. Why would she refuse treatment? You'd have to ask her. They entered her hospital room. Margaret was awake, looking weaker but alert. Mom, why didn't you tell us about the cancer? Cancer? Margaret looked confused. I have cancer. Stop it, Mom. Sarah's voice broke. Please, stop pretending. Pretending what, dear? Jake knelt beside the bed. Mom, we know you've known about this for over a year. Why did you hide it? Margaret looked at her 3 children, and then something changed in her eyes. The confusion melted away. Her gaze became clear, sharp, present. Because telling you wouldn't have changed anything, she said quietly. Except to make you worry? The 3 siblings froze. Mom, I'm lucid right now, yes. But the Alzheimer's. Margaret closed her eyes. Sit down. All of you. There's something I need to tell you. Mother's final confession. The Alzheimer's. It's not real. Silence. What? I don't have Alzheimer's disease. I never did. Sarah stood up abruptly. What are you talking about? The diagnosis, the tests, were arranged. Drive. Robert's nose. I asked him to help me. Michael's voice was barely a whisper. You've been lying this whole time. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. Yes. Why? Why would you do this? Because you were gone, she said simply. All 3 of you. For 15 years. The siblings couldn't speak. After your father died, you fought over his estate. And then you left. Michael to California. Sarah to New York. Jake drifted everywhere. She looked at each of them. You stopped calling. Stopped visiting. You became strangers. Mom, let me finish. Please. Margaret took a breath. 13 months ago, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Terminal. The doctor said I had a year, maybe less. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. And I realized I was going to die, and my children hated each other. You'd spend the rest of your lives apart, angry, broken. We didn't hate each other. Yes, you did. You do. The truth hung in the air. So I made a plan. I researched Alzheimer's. I practiced the symptoms. I asked Drive Roberts to give a false diagnosis. Mom. Jake was crying now. I knew if I had Alzheimer's, you would come back. You would have to take care of me. And in taking care of me, maybe you'd remember how to take care of each other. Michael sat down, his legs giving out. So these 4 months, everything was an act. Yes. The confusion, the memory loss, not recognizing us. All performed. I'm sorry. Sarah was shaking. Do you have any idea how painful that was? Watching you forget us. I know. I'm so sorry. We thought we were losing you. But you weren't losing me, Margaret said softly. You were finding each other. The room fell silent. These past 4 months, I watched you become a family again. I saw Michael let go of his need to prove himself. I saw Sarah choose family over career. I saw Jake find his worth. She smiled through her tears. I saw my children love each other again. But at what cost? Michael asked. You lied to us. You manipulated us. Yes. And I'd do it again. Mom. Because a parent's love sometimes means making impossible choices. Even if it means becoming the villain. Margaret reached for her nightstand and pulled out her leather journal. I've documented everything. Every day of the past 6 months. It's all in here. My thoughts, my plan, my guilt, my hope. She handed it to Sarah. Read it after I'm gone. You'll understand. After you're gone. Jake's voice cracked. How long do you have? Margaret looked at her children with infinite sadness and infinite love. Drive. Robert says maybe 2 weeks. A month at most. No. It's okay. I'm ready. We just got you back. You didn't get me back. You got each other back. That's what matters. The 3 siblings collapsed around their mother's bed, sobbing. I'm sorry, Margaret whispered, stroking their hair. I'm so sorry for the lie. But I'm not sorry for the love. The journal. That night, back at their mother's house, the 3 siblings sat together. Sarah held their mother's journal. With shaking hands, she opened it. June 1, 2024. Today I begin the most difficult performance of my life. Not for applause. Not for recognition. But for love. Michael took over reading. I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 6 months ago. Terminal. When drive. Roberts told me I had a year to live. My first thought wasn't of myself. It was of my children. My 3 beautiful children, who hate each other. Who haven't spoken in 15 years. Who'll spend the rest of their lives alone because of pride and pain. Jake continued, his voice breaking. I cannot die leaving them this way. I won't. So I've made a choice that may be unforgivable. I'm going to lie to them. June 5th. I met with Drive. Roberts today. I explained my plan. He refused at first. I can't give a false diagnosis, he said. But when I told him about my children, about the 15 years of silence, he understood. This is highly unethical, he warned. I could lose my license. I told him I would take full responsibility, that I would document everything, that this was my choice, not his. He finally agreed. Only because you're dying, he said. And only because I believe love sometimes requires desperate measures. Sarah wiped tears from her eyes and read on. June 6. Tomorrow, I will get lost downtown. Mrs. Henderson has agreed to call my children. The performance begins. I've been studying Alzheimer's for months. I've watched videos, read medical journals, interviewed caregivers. I know how to look confused. How to forget names. How to ask the same questions repeatedly. I'm terrified I won't be convincing. But I'm more terrified of dying with my children still broken. June 7th. They came. All 3 of them. I saw them in the hospital waiting room, not talking to each other, sitting far apart. My heart broke. But they came. That's what matters. June 15th. Michael's first week. He's trying so hard to work while caring for me. I can see the stress. His company is failing, but he won't admit it. Today I asked him who he was. 5 times. I watched him answer patiently each time, breaking a little more with each repetition. I wanted to tell him the truth. To say, I know exactly who you are. You're my brilliant son, who's been chasing his father's ghost for 20 years. You're enough. You've always been enough. But I said nothing. The act must continue. Michael couldn't read anymore. Jake took the journal. June 22nd. Sarah arrived today. She looks exhausted. She works too much. She's forgotten how to live. I told her I didn't recognize her. The pain in her eyes was unbearable. But it's necessary. She needs to feel something. She's been numb for so long. June 29th. Jake played guitar for me today. He thinks he's a failure. My beautiful, sensitive boy thinks he's worthless. When he played that old lullaby, I wanted to sing along. I remembered every word, but I pretended I didn't know it. Then later, when he left the room, I sang it to myself and cried. July 10th. A breakthrough today. The 3 of them had dinner together. Talked. actually talked without fighting. I pretended to be confused, asking if they were siblings. Michael said, "We're working on it." It's working. The plan is working. July 28th. They found the ledgers. The financial records of everything I sacrificed for them. I never wanted them to know. A mother's sacrifice shouldn't need recognition. But maybe it's good they found out. Maybe they needed to see what love looks like. August 15th. Today I watched them laugh together. Really laugh. Over some silly joke Jake made. I haven't heard them laugh together in 15 years. I wanted to drop the act right then. To say, look, you're a family again. Mission accomplished. But it's too soon. They need more time. September 1st. The cancer is getting worse. The pain is harder to hide. I'm not sure how much longer I can keep this up. Drive. Roberts wants me to start palliative care. But I can't. Not yet. My children aren't ready. September 20th. Michael told his siblings he's letting the company go. Sarah took a leave from her firm. Jake found an apartment nearby. They're all here. Together. Choosing family over everything else. I've succeeded. But now I must face the hardest part, telling them the truth. Sarah picked up the journal again, reading the final entries. September 30th. Tomorrow I will collapse. It won't be fake, the cancer is severe enough now. And in the hospital, I will tell them everything. They will be angry. They will feel betrayed. But they will understand. Eventually. Because they are together now. And that bond is stronger than any lie. The last page had 3 separate letters written. To Michael, you spent 20 years trying to fix your failure. But you never failed. Businesses fail. That's not a reflection of your worth. You are brilliant, kind, and strong. Your father was proud of you. And I am proud of you. Let go of the guilt. Live free. To Sarah, you built an empire of success but lived in a prison of loneliness. Career is important, but it's not everything. You don't have to earn love. You don't have to prove your worth. You are worthy just by existing. Find balance. Find joy. Find yourself. To Jake, you think you're the broken one, the failure. But you're the only one who had the courage to follow your heart, even when it was hard. That's not weakness. That's strength. You may not be a rock star, but you are a beautiful soul. Believe in yourself. And finally, a message to all 3. My darling children, I'm sorry for the deception. I know it was wrong, unethical, manipulative, but I am not sorry for the love behind it. These 6 months watching you become a family again have been the greatest gift of my life. Watching you heal has healed me. When I'm gone, stay together. Promise me. Don't let my death be what unites you. Let my life be what taught you. Love isn't always pretty. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it requires sacrifice. Sometimes it requires lies. But it's always, always worth it. I love you more than my last breath. Mom. The 3 siblings held each other and cried. The hidden truth revealed. The next morning, they went to see Drive. Roberts. You knew everything, Michael said. Drive. Roberts nodded. I did. Why did you help her? The doctor sat down heavily. Your mother came to me 13 months ago with terminal cancer. I told her the prognosis. She had 2 questions. Will it be painful? And how long? Then she told me about her children. About how you hadn't spoken in 15 years. About how she would die knowing you'd live the rest of your lives estranged. He looked at them. She said, I have 1 year left, Drive. Roberts. Just 1 year to fix 15 years of damage. Will you help me? I told her what she was asking was impossible, unethical, I could lose my medical license. But your mother looked me in the eyes and said, if you had 1 year left, and your greatest regret was your children's broken relationship, wouldn't you do anything to fix it? Drive. Robert's eyes welled with tears. I have 2 sons who don't speak to each other. Haven't in years. So I understood. Maybe too well. I told her I'd help on one condition: she had to document everything. Every day. As proof that this was her choice, not mine. Sarah spoke quietly. She could have just told us she was dying. We would have come. Would you have? Drive. Roberts asked. Or would you have come out of obligation, stayed separate, and left again after the funeral? Silence. Your mother didn't want a deathbed reunion. She wanted a real reconciliation. And that takes time. They left the hospital and went to see Mrs. Henderson, their mother's elderly neighbor. You knew too? Jake asked. Mrs. Henderson poured them tea in her living room. Your mother told me everything. Asked me to call you that day when she'd gotten lost. How could you lie to us? Because I loved your mother. And I could see how much pain she was in. Not from the cancer, from you 3. She looked at them sternly. Do you know how many times she'd sit on her porch, watching the road, hoping one of you might visit? How many times she'd check her phone for a call that never came? The siblings looked down, ashamed. When she told me her plan, I thought it was crazy. But then she said, they need me to need them. Because they stopped believing I wanted them. Mrs. Henderson's voice softened. So I helped. And you know what? Every week when you'd rotate, she'd tell me how you were doing, how you were changing, how you were healing. She'd cry, saying, I hate lying to them, but look at them. They're becoming brothers and sisters again. The old woman wiped her eyes. Your mother was the bravest woman I ever knew. She gave you a gift. Don't waste it. A new beginning. 2 weeks later, Margaret Sullivan died peacefully in her home. All 3 children were with her, holding her hands, telling her they loved her, thanking her. You brought us back, Michael whispered. You saved us. Margaret smiled. You saved each other. I just gave you the chance. Her last words were simple. Be happy. Be together. Be family. And then she closed her eyes for the last time. 1 year later, Mom's Kitchen, the name painted in elegant script above the door of a completely renovated diner. The place their mother had worked for 30 years, now transformed into a thriving restaurant. Michael managed the business side. After bankruptcy, he discovered he was good at building things slowly, sustainably. No more chasing unicorns. Sarah had left corporate law and now worked as a family mediator. She helped other broken families find their way back to each other. Jake was the head chef. Turns out, he had a talent for cooking, and his music played softly throughout the restaurant. Original songs he'd written about love, loss, and family. Sarah's goddaughter she'd reconnected with her estranged college friend worked as a hostess after school. On the wall, a large portrait of Margaret Sullivan, smiling, watching over her family. Every month on the 15th, the date of their mother's death, the restaurant was closed to the public. Instead, the siblings held community dinner night. They invited people who were estranged from their families, offering free meals and a listening ear. Mom taught us that family is worth fighting for, Sarah would tell guests, even if that fight looks different than you'd expect. On this particular evening, the 3 siblings stood together in the empty restaurant after everyone had left. They raised glasses of their mother's favorite wine. To Mom, Michael said. To the greatest actress who ever lived, Jake added with a smile. To the woman who loved us enough to lie to us, Sarah finished. They clinked glasses, Through the window, snow was beginning to fall. The first snow of December. Jake went to the piano in the corner and started playing that old lullaby their mother used to sing. This time, all three sang along. Every word, every note, together. And if you look closely at their mother's portrait, you might have sworn she was smiling just a little bit wider. Ending message to viewers. So, what did you think? Margaret's last lie. Her final performance. It was a deception born not from malice, but from the deepest love a parent can have. How many of us have family members we haven't spoken to in years? How many of us are waiting for the right time to reach out? How many of us think we have all the time in the world? Margaret knew the truth: time doesn't wait. And neither should we. If you're watching this and you have family you're estranged from, a parent, a sibling, a child, I want you to do something for me. Pick up the phone. Send a text. Write an email. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to solve everything. It just has to be a start. Because the saddest words in any language are "it's too late." Don't let those words become your story. Margaret's lie gave her children a second chance. But you don't need a lie. You just need courage. Reach out. Today. Right now. Before tomorrow becomes never. Thank you for watching the story all the way to the end. If it touched your heart, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us what really matters in life. And in the comments, tell me, is there someone you need to reconnect with? What's stopping you? Let's create a community of people choosing love over pride, choosing family over ego, choosing connection over comfort. Until next time, remember, the people you love won't be here forever, but the love you give them, that lasts for eternity. Take care of each other. A mother's love is the truest thing in this world, even when it wears the mask of a lie.